Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens, the Screenwriting Step-by-Step Project, episode 107. My name is Glenn Gers, and I come to you every Monday through Friday, if I can make it, at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's when I'm live, working for a little bit every day on a TV drama pilot script, letting you look over my shoulder, share my screen as I work on it in an attempt to teach screenwriting, to teach the screenwriting process. Not to say this script is how you should write, but to say the process of writing a script, the process of figuring out a story, building an outline, writing a rough draft, rewriting it. That process is probably the most important thing that I could teach any aspiring screenwriter. It is not the only way to do it. It is not the best way to do it. It is simply the way I figured out in my 25-year career writing movies and TV shows. So in teaching script writing, I do these videos where I try and break down little sections, things, particular lessons, but I realize that is not a great way to show you the process. And that's really the most important thing. Lots of writers will show you the result. This is what a good script should be like, but they don't tell you how to get there. And that is what we are doing here, trying to show you the mundane, routine ritual of writing a scene at a time, writing a rough draft, and then turning it into a better draft and a better draft. That's the plan. Hello, 99 Precinct. Good to see you. Today, it looks like we are going to get to the end of the rough draft. It looks, if I am correct, as if this the work that's left, is just a little bit of a scene, and then we have got an entire rough draft, which is crazy. But we have been doing it for 60 episodes so far, 60 days. It's been a while, so it's about time we get to the end of that, and then I'm gonna take a pause. I'm gonna show up every day, but I'm gonna show you the process of reading your own work and making notes on it, saying, where doesn't this work? And I can tell you, having been saying it all along as we've gone through, this is just a rough draft. There's a lot of places where it is barely a scene at all. And we have a lot of work to do to make that into a readable draft and then into a polished, finished draft. It's step after step. You go through a lot of processes. You go through it again and again. Hold on, let me see if I can get this. I got to get these organized. Yeah, this. You go over it and over it and over it. That is how you write it. Step by step, scene by scene, line by line, over and over again, bird by bird, as the book says. Annie, oh gosh, I can't remember her full name. She wrote a really good book on writing, and I will try and get the name of that. In the meantime, let's get back to this. Let us compare what we have left in our outline, which is really just this, and what's left in the text. Hello, Maria. Great to see you. Thank you for showing up. It's great. I'm glad you could step away from work for a bit. And for those of you watching in Europe and further east, thank you for staying up to watch this. Okay, so what have we got? We have deacons realizing at the same moment that they do that they are going to come after it. Doesn't matter what we want. The killer's going to realize that he gave us more reason. That's not very good. Gave us a new reason to hunt him and new clues. You know what? We're going to change some of this too. The killer knows he made a mistake. The reason I'm changing this is because right now it's saying the killer realized he did something bad. So I want to keep the flow of his thoughts. The killer knows he made a mistake, and he knows who we are. The who we are is the news. You don't put the news in the middle of the line. You put the news at the end of the line. This is a key thing about writing for screens and writing anything that's being spoken, is you have to be careful not to bury the most important part of a speech or a set of lines in the middle of it, because we don't hear it then. The audience hears things at the beginning and the end of a speech as more powerful. So, and he knows who we are was too important to put in the buried it. It has to be the last thing that everyone hears. Okay. All right. Oh, look, everybody's here. Hello, Najo. Hello, this is Kitschy. Hello, Janae. You could just call me Glenn, by the way. No, you don't have to call me Mr. Glenn. And Maria, who is it terrible that I cannot complete my outlines, but rather I work on a few scenes and then take a stab at writing those? No, it's not terrible. You seem to be getting a lot done with that way. My feeling is nothing is terrible if it is productive. I mean, unless you're like, drinking human blood in order to write it. It's fine. If you write by outlining it and then writing it, that's fine. You may discover later that your structure is unthought through, but it could also be that you have an instinct for it and you don't need to write it all the way through. Everyone is different. Every writer is different. And so therefore, it's completely, what makes something okay in my book is, are you getting scripts written? And are you feeling good about what you're writing? And are other people understanding what you're writing? If that's working, and the way you do that is by ripping up index cards and throwing them in the air and taking random words, if that works, do it. The only reason to change what you're doing is if it's not working. That's my answer. It does not matter how we do it. Everybody has the way that works best for their brain and their life circumstances and the kind of work they want to do. There's so many things. Okay, let's see what Naja's saying here. I recently purchased a script from the 1960s and read. Yes, the difference in scripts over the decades is shocking. I would love to know what script that was. And good, Janae. Cool. We're good. So anyway, Maria, if you're getting it, you are getting scripts completed. That's fine. The main thing about your process, everyone, your process should be the process that allows you to do the best work you can as easily as you can. That's just the only point. I'm sorry, I'm doing a little quick rewrite here because I'm just seeing. This is what happens, by the way. You write down whatever is groping its way out of your unconscious, and you just get it down there. And then you come back a couple days later, and you're like, oh no, now I see how this will play. Like maybe it was just, if he was, big fucking mistake. Big. For YouTube purposes, I am changing that. Big frickin' mistake. But we might have been. Might have been. All right. Hey, Jordicus, or yeah, I'm going to say Jordicus. If that's not correct, tell me. First act written. Yes, congratulations. Yay. I have a question. Why do some feature all caps in some of the action lines? That is a great question, Jordicus. And the answer is, let's just do it, random whim. That is the answer. The answer is at some point, well, way back in the 1940s and 50s, certain things were capitalized because they were going to be important to various departments. Like you would say, like, he picks up a notebook, and they would capitalize notebook or something. Anyway, the idea of things being all caps, being things that were emphasized or important, got into the language of screenwriting. Remember, screenwriting was not an art, is probably still not an art, but some people are doing it artistically. For many people, it's just a business. For some people, it's a craft. For some people, it's a step on the way to directing. Screenwriting itself is terrible writing very often. And you get some of just the worst writing ever in screenplays. So therefore, everyone is kind of groping towards a style. And some people figured out that doing things in all caps just made it exciting. Like, hey, pow, like realizing. That just, the word realizing then pops out. So therefore, people start to do like gunshot in all caps. It's not unlike what comic books do often with bold. They will just bold a word because it's emphasized. So the answer is you can all cap things or not all cap things. There is no universal rule about that. There is no consensus on how it should be done. Some people seem to think it should be done for actions, and other people think it should be, I don't know. There is no rule. It is just people trying to grab your attention. I find myself doing it sometimes and not other times. In other words, in some scripts, I will just make a rule for myself. No caps. Don't do the all caps thing. This is a classy piece that I'm going to manage to create the urgency through other means than shouting. Because that's really what all caps is, isn't it? It's like a yell. So, and then some scripts I'm like, this is an action script and I want to yell a bit. So that's it. It is essentially just yelling, trying to get people's attention. That is what the all caps are. There is no good excuse or reason or explanation. Yes, exactly. Reading old scripts is a fascinating thing. Yep. All sorts of things. Maria says she just outlines a few scenes, gets them written very roughly. Exactly. If what you're doing, and like what you're doing doesn't sound that far from what I'm doing, I personally outline the whole thing because otherwise I don't know my story. I haven't figured it out yet. Outlining is my way of telling myself the story, constructing it. If I don't outline it, I just can't remember what goes where. And I haven't answered enough questions for myself. Writing, in case you didn't know, is a process of questions. If you ask me, and I'll tell you how much I believe that, I did a video about it called A Process of Questions. So the answer is, for me, outlining is a way to ask yourself questions and get the answers roughly down. Then the rough draft is the next step in answering some questions, like how do they say that? What are they doing at this exact moment? How do they feel? Blah, blah, blah. Those are the things, oops, sorry about that, that I work out in the rough draft. If you can get a rough draft without that, cool. You're going to read your rough draft and go, oh, now I see what I need to do here, and I have to move that there, and etc. Yes, indeed, when we're talking about old scripts, it is amazing how much literary work there is, how much just talking, long series of dialogues, big chunks of description. Okay. By the way, if you guys like Hitchcock, may I suggest two things. First of all, In my opinion, the best... okay, this movie is the best Hitchcock movie not made by Hitchcock. Hold on there. All right. There's a movie called Charade from the 1950s, I believe. Cary Grant, Audrey Hepburn, Walter Matthau. It was very much an attempt to do a Hitchcock-like movie, but Hitchcock didn't do it. Actually, Stanley Donen, the director of Singin' in the Rain, did it. And it's amazing. If you want to see Hitchcock as not done by Hitchcock, the other really fun pseudo-Hitchcock lately is... in Soho. There is a movie called One Night in Soho. It came out this past fall. It's by Edgar Wright. It is another. I wish I was playing Hitchcock game, and it's a very good fake Hitchcock. It's very enjoyable. It's not a great movie, but if you like Hitchcock, you'll really enjoy those movies. Okay. And hello, N. And yeah, love Hitchcock. Okay. Yeah, the caps isn't a complete... yeah. Yes, exactly. What you're doing here, Jordicus, is exactly right. Footsteps stomp upstairs. If you want to do that, screenplays allow that. There is no... okay, cool. There is no prohibition against shouting now and then to call attention to yourself. Always kept important sounds. Yes, some people do sounds, some people do actions, some people just do all sorts of stuff. Okay, so let me just do another quick. Jennifer Nicole says, I recently had a script consulting session with someone, and she said I used too much ing words and lee words, but it's hard to convey you want to say with clarity. This is a tricky one. This is interesting. The trick about clarity is that sometimes over-describing things does not create clarity. It very often, this is actually a really interesting thing. I'm gonna see if I can. I'm going to draw. Okay. Okay. That's a face, right? Now that is not a well-described or well-drawn, detailed, specific face. And yet, we understand it's a face. And if you look at emojis or comics, you will realize that sometimes stripping something down to a simple form allows for the power of the basic thing, the dramatic action, to come across. And so one thing I can say is, if you are describing in too much detail how an actor does something, or how the camera is perceiving it, or how the just how things look, it's in general in screenplays you do not want to over describe, because a screenplay is really about what people say, what people do, and how we are seeing it in terms of storytelling with the camera and the cuts. That's the main stuff that's in a script. I was trying to see, do I have that written down somewhere? I got to get my little things organized. Yeah, it's what people do, what people say, and how we are seeing it. Those are the main elements in a screenplay. And the more that you over-describe something, the more it slows down the script. So as tempting as it is, because I know you're all picturing exactly what it looks like, but one of the things you learn when you write a script and it gets professionally made, the thing you thought it would look like, it almost never does. Just, you would be amazed how different it comes out, let alone the things they actually physically change. But even if you describe the green room with the arched ceiling and the blue light coming through it, by the time they get done with their jobs of directing, acting, designing, lighting, all that stuff, your work is not how you described it. And so the best writers for screenwriting are the ones who understand what's essential. The dramatic action, the dialogue, the characters, the story, not exactly how it plays out. There's a lot of other people who are going to be doing that job. So that's my basic feeling about that is, yes, you do want clarity, but you do want to also watch out for over describing. It's a very tricky thing. Okay. Yes, the colors are... One of the things about Charade that's interesting is that it was at that period when they were just sort of transitioning from black and white to color. So they were still trying to figure out how to light a movie so that it had that black and white lighting, but in color. And Charade is one of the best that does it. Hey, Johannes, good to see you. An episode of the Saint TV show. Wow. Okay. Fascinating. No problem. I got it. That's great. The Saint. Cool. Okay. So, Kitchi says, I had that problem. Present tense. Yeah, that's actually interesting. Yeah. Okay. This is another good point. Rusty shoots Danny a look. Are you high? It's technically eternal because what you are doing is you are describing the thing that the character is in thinking or intending because it is unspoken. And when you are describing something that is active but unspoken, you actually have to do that. Famously, directors will say, I can't shoot if you write what they're thinking, I can't shoot that. But that's not true, because the actor will play it and then you shoot that. So the answer is you are allowed to write something that is internal, a thought, a feeling, a mood, but you want to write it in such a way that it is playable, so that it is part of the action. If you're just saying he feels this, but it doesn't relate to what they're doing, that's probably not going to help. But if the reason that they are not speaking is because of something they're feeling, like they say, where were you on the night of the 14th? Joe is silent. He is feeling terror that he will be discovered as the one who covered up the crime. That's okay. I mean, in theory, we already know that, but you can write what someone is thinking or feeling, or definitely in a look, what they're implying. Yeah, exactly. Oh, good. Yeah. Cool. That is great. Glad that was helping. Can you read the action as quick as it will last on camera? Yes. This is a major helpful point. Thank you, Jordicus. You want your script to read like it's unrolling in front of you. And if you're slowing down the reading by over-describing anything, you are probably going to have a good read that people don't want to make into a movie. Screenwriting is not exactly describing not describing exactly what's in your head, but writing it in a way that inspires the same excitement to picture it. That is very good. That is right. You want to give someone the feeling or the idea without describing every little detail of it as it is in your head. And once again, the main way that you do that is by describing the story, the action, the dramatic action, the dialogue, what the characters are doing, and how they are reacting to each other, and the actions they are taking. I will just also emphasize dramatic action, which includes dialogue. Dialogue is an action. So I urge you to watch this video of mine, Dramatic Action. Wait, is that? No, it's that one. That one. I think it will help. Okay. I still haven't gotten to where we started. Okay, so all right. What if we just walk away? Okay. George is dead. He got that way by messing around with cold serial killer. Cold serial killer. Cold serial. He got that way. He got that way by messing around with cold serial killer. Cold serial, cold cases. Serial killers and cold serial killer cases is really funny to me, but I don't think it's good for this speech. With serial killers and cold cases, and when he got them by messing around. So that's. So if we, did you not get the lesson here? You are not detectives. Not detectives. Not detectives. Let me just quickly check on. Okay, Miffy Bitted is banned, you vom.onger. Okay. Yes, this is good. Maria says, there's sometimes a place when you just have, you say what someone's thinking because they're going to play it. Yes, recommend just reading 10 of your favorite screenplays, and that will show you more than anything. Yes, read, okay, this is super important. Read scripts. Also read plays, read books, get the language of language into your heart, and then read scripts. Read a lot of scripts. Read scripts just compulsively, because the more that you get the language of script writing into your head, the more you will recognize, you'll be comfortable playing in that arena. It's an unnatural form. It's an unnatural language, scripting. The other thing is, please try to write as much as you can script-wise and try and get some of it filmed somehow. Do I have this? No, I don't have it. Get your script on a screen. I did a video called Get Your Script on a Screen. Just learn what happens when people try to interpret your script. It's really, really important. So I urge you to just have somebody, write a little short and have some film students film it, just to learn what happens between the written word and the performed and captured motion picture experience. It's big. It's a huge, huge step in the process of becoming a screenwriter. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I got the bots. I got the bots. Thank you. I missed you. I just asked. Oh, I missed yesterday's stream for a question. Should I ask it now or save it? Oh no, ask away. Yeah. Cool. This is great. Boo, 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 boo. By the way, yes, visit Scriptfly, but if possible, I just no, thank you. I have read enough scripts to last my lifetime. Okay, one other thing, if possible, guys, don't pay for scripts. There's so many scripts out there for free. Every award season, all the awards nominated scripts get put out there. Look on Deadline.com, tends to have a record of them. Hollywood Reporter has them. But just Google screenplays PDF. You will find tons of free scripts, more than you ever need. So I hate to see you guys spending money you don't have to spend. If you have a very, very specific special script you're really anxious to get and you can only get it by paying for it, cool. But mostly search around. There are whole sites that do nothing but aggregate copies of scripts. So, boop, 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 boop. Yeah, Harold Pinter is a great screenwriter. You now and then you get these really great writers, like otherwise great writers, like Tom Stoppard and Clifford Odets, who write a screenplay and your jaw just drops. Although often they're bad as screenwriters. Pinter is different. Okay. Yep. Good. Read. If a character in the script is watching a movie, would you transcribe the existing movie? Yeah. This is a great question. See, and you are ahead of me. Don't ever use a script that is not in the public domain. What kind of script is in the public domain? That's so cool. Is it like an old script? Anyway, how would you do that? I would do it. This is a fascinating thing. Okay, so I think I would do it. I'm just going to go down a couple lines here. I think I would transcribe the script and say like, they are watching Charade, the movie Charade. It's the scene on the roof of the American Express building. There is such a scene. And then on TV, Cary Grant ducks as George Hamilton swings his hook hand. What I would do is I would italicize because you're quoting it. Does that make sense? Here, let me get this out of the way. Okay, so this is what I would do. It's just something like this. This is actually very wordy, but you get the idea. And then you could type the dialogue in dialogue format and like that, and then italicize it. Something to tell us that it's within a quoted material. How does that sound? That's what I would suggest. YouTube does a lot of things for some reason, I gotta say. Hey, Matthew, congratulations. Everybody give Matt a round of applause here. Congratulations, finishing a screenplay. That is excellent. It is not easy to do. And does that help you? Being on set really does, it can both help you and destroy your hopes, being on set. Congratulations, Matthew. Congratulations, Matthew. GZ, I assume that's some form of congratulations. Matthew, congrats. Yes. Okay. Yes, by the way, the writer of most of the Harry Potter scripts, Steve Kloves, is extremely good screenwriter. He also wrote, I believe, Fabulous Baker Boys, which is a great, great little movie. That's right. Wait, you're telling me that Double Indemnity is in public domain? That is super cool if that's true. And a great, great movie with a great, great script by a great, great writer, Raymond Chandler, I believe. Anyway. Yes. Okay. And okay, cool. Wow, we've got lots of questions. I think, question. I think in scenes, but I also think in shots. This can bleed through to my writing. The director should describe this. Is there any tips on how to avoid writing too specifically? Yes, indeed. There are tips on that. All you need to do is imply the shot in the writing. For instance, here I do this all the time. For instance, if I were to write here, Norman looks at Madeline. Now, if you think about it, Norman looks at Madeline is going to be a specific, there's only one way to do that, which is that you are going to have to point the camera at Norman and then at Madeline, possibly in a two-shot, but somewhere or other you're steering the mind with your words. If we suddenly did, Xena looks at her watch, okay, that implies that we're, or here, it is 4:32 a.m. Okay, by doing that, you're basically implying that you're going to have to do a close-up of the watch. There's no other way to get that information in there unless somebody says it. So therefore, there's a lot of ways to imply cuts and shots. I also believe that this paragraph break here, going from this line, from this line, and then breaking to this line, it's a cut. Our mind cuts when we have a paragraph break. So I'm going to leave that. But now, what is, I'm going to focus for a minute on this script because we're so close to finishing it. According to the internet, that's in, you know what? It could easily be. Yes, exactly. Jordicus is getting it right. If you're describing something in close detail, or if he runs like the wind through the door, you're gonna move the camera. There's lots of ways to imply. I hope that helps, Phil. That's my main thing. My tips on is to try to get it into the flow of the words instead of stopping to alert us to how the camera is working it. Okay, currently this is my crappy line that will fill. What I want to point out here is Madeline is saying, no, I mean, she's got a lot invested. Fair enough. guy knows we know. He knows we know. He can't let that. He can't let us. He can't let us. We tell him. Would you believe that? Would you believe that? If you were we're the crime club. Okay, let's see. All right, let me just check here. Okay, so he's saying he's got to come after, therefore we have to go after him. They say it to each other. And why? Why do I use all? I will tell you that in a second. Let's see. Condescendingly. Now, I did some LYs here. I'm not sure if that'll stay, actually, because the truth is you can do this. Reassuring, condescending, and yet condescending. Madeline, big effort not to pull her hands away. Okay, so here, by the way, is a description of a feeling. And here is descriptions of how she is doing it. The reason I am doing this, oh wait, you can't read that. Okay. The reason I am doing that is because there are a lot of different ways that that could be meant. Like she could take her hands and be making an honest connection, but she's not. She's just manipulating her. And then Madeline has to make a big effort not to pull her hands away because I'm trying to say Madeline could suddenly get convinced, but I want to make clear that she's not. We are crime crackers. Actually, we're all crime crackers Crime crackers, by the way. I just thought of this. I was looking through, I started to do some notes, and I was looking through our list of possible titles and one of the things we had was like crime busters stuff. And there was one that just said crackers, like puzzle crackers. And I thought crime crackers is actually a great name. I know you didn't want to be in this. I know this wasn't who you wanted. I know. Don't respect us. I know you think we're all losers and fools. But if we don't work together, he can pick us off one by one, and no one will care. No, and no one will care. We're all crime. Okay, so this is just a very rough idea. Hugs, Madeline. Okay, cool. I think that is end of episode 1. Format. Where did my center go? All right, cancel this. I used to have a thing that would say with format, font, nope, size, style, alignment. There we go, centered. There we go. Okay, so this is not right. This is not enough, but this is what I want to get to. I want to get to they're all in it together, right? That's the point. Yes. Boom, boom. Okay. That's cool. That's neat. All right. Now I'm going to go back. I've been completely ignoring you guys in your chat because I was writing something there. Let me see. You guys are all talking about Okay. All right. Why do I? Okay. let me just do a couple things before we close out this epochal major moment in our lives here. I have finished the rough draft. Why do you use double hyphens? I use double hyphens like this. Oh wait, you can't see that. Here we go. Because in theory, a single hyphen is connecting two things together. A double hyphen is what's called a dash, actually. What I mean it to be is a dash, something that's breaking things apart, that's interrupting. If you use one hyphen, that actually sort of suggests that. So I tend to do double just to make sure it's clear it's a dash. Okay, so a rough draft based on a movie called The Roaring Twenties. Yes, and set in the 90s. That is great. That is a great idea. It is, you have to be careful about this, but it is not a bad idea to use a classic movie's structure or concept and rethink it to the point that you're only using the basic elements, in which case you probably can get away with what is essentially adapting a classic story. You have to be very careful, but famously, there's a movie called Red River. It's a Western about a group of men taking some cattle across the American West. And there's a sort of mutiny within the against the captain, who's played by John Wayne. And famously, the writer of it said, after it came out, it was a big hit, and he said, do you think anyone will notice that it's Mutiny on the Bounty? That he had taken an earlier movie and said, this basic story with many changes, adapted to a very, very different setting with very, very different characters, it's still inspired by the same thing. It's tricky, but I think it's an okay thing to do. And by the way, that's a great idea. The Roaring Twenties is a really cool movie, and the 90s rave scene, that would be fascinating. Passengers for me, cool. I believe, by the way, there was a sequel to The Thornbirds. Jennifer uses the double hyphens, the dash, when two are finishing each other's sentence, so to speak. Yes, the point of the dash is, here we go. So the character said, yeah, but, and the dash. The purpose of a dash is to suggest interruption, cutting something off, not finishing. But not like the three dots, the ellipsis, because that suggests like leaving something hanging or drifting away, whereas a dash suggests cutting it short, interrupting it. Exactly right, Jennifer. That's exactly how I use it. I also do it with action. I'll have somebody walking towards the door and then have a dash, and then the other guy throws a bottle to suggest that they're being interrupted. The last action. Okay. What do you think of the rice? That is a huge topic, which I cannot and should not get into right now. But basically, regarding the Golden Globes, I would say kind of they had it coming, because they were a notoriously misogynistic, racist, corrupt organization. They really, really were a handful. And they had been called out many times, and they kept saying, yeah, we'll fix it, and then not doing anything. Is it a very extreme action? Sure. Is it warranted? Probably. Just my opinion, but the Golden Globes, particularly the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, was notoriously sleazy. They just were. So that's my call on that particular thing. Yeah, I think we're talking about Passengers here, and I agree. It should have been better, but it was cool. Interruptions, yes, Jordicus, that's exactly right. We're getting to an hour. Passenger Script won the Blacklist 15 years ago. Yes. Yes, exactly. The script, this does happen. Sometimes script works better than the movie for a million complicated reasons that we may not know. Here's the thing about award ceremonies, especially if you sort of tone down, the red carpet is entertaining on its own grounds, but the thing about an award ceremony that's sort of valuable is the recognition of achievement. And very often that's actually happening. There may be a lot of other politics and a lot of other game playing and corporate nonsense going on, but it's sometimes helpful to remember how hard people strive to do something exceptional and how cool it is when they do. And does that have to be the greatest thing ever? No, but it's still pretty damn cool, and it can be kind of inspiring to be reminded of that. All right, couple more. Sorry if you've covered this, it's still catching up. No problem. The beat. Yeah, I think I talked about that yesterday, but here is a great example. I use beat to suggest a change of either a break that is within a speech, and I simply like it because it visually creates that break. I know somebody who just does this. does that, just does paragraph breaks in dialogue. But it's more of a convention to do beat. So that's my personal feeling is, it is kind of a loaded pause. It doesn't even have to be a loaded pause. It can just be a switching, a changing. You want to visually, in order to help someone not think it's this. See, because that flows too close together. There's one thing we have to figure out: who did call charge? You need a little pause there. And so by doing this, you're just saying, you're not saying there's any particular emotion to that. Let them play it how they want. You're just saying this needs some separation. And that's what I use beat for. There is no particular rule about beat, but the actual use of beat within dialogue tends to be actually unloaded pause. It's a pause that does not necessarily load it. It's just to suggest there's a break here. There's a difference between part one and part two, and that you want somebody to take a moment to think in between these lines. Does that make sense, Rachel? I hope it does. Okay. Yeah. Hope that helped everyone. We're going to be closing down, so that's true, but then again, you get like the Independent Spirit Awards, the Gotham Awards. These are you're getting a whole different group of people, and in fact, kind of People's Choice Awards too. I mean, you have to be realistic. You have to be open to the reality of how these things get done. Awards, but it's no small thing to get the attention, and very often it's like Oscars. That has to do with what company puts money behind promoting what thing. It's not an absolute actual recognition. It's simply a way that some things do get noted, and you may disagree with them. That's cool. It's like the critics' 10 best list. Any particular critic is going to have their 10 best. Any particular awards group is going to have their 10 best. Will you agree with them? No. But it's worth having someone call out what they think was good, just because that's a nice thing, I think. And thank you. Thank you. Yes, we got to the end. Oh, good. Now we're getting to the good part where we're all saying yay. How much makes it to the final? 25% here. Double spacing in dialogue preferred. I don't think we double space the dialogue. I double space before a line, if I understand what you mean. In other words, here you double space before the dialogue, or between the lines of dialogue, but you don't. That to do that is simply to visually help someone recognize that they're different people talking. So that's the rule there. And it's not a rule. Different places do it differently. Yay! Congratulations! I haven't seen the rewrite. Yeah, it's kind of fun. I liked it. Yeah. Oh, this is a thing. If you show scripts to people who are not readers of scripts, who don't understand the language of scripts, then things like the slug line, the interior, or all the other gestures of screenwriting are freaky and hard to read. So forgive them. They know not what they do. It's not their fault. You should be really easy on anyone who's trying to read a script, because scripts are unpleasant to read. They're a crappy reading experience. The only way that you can learn to read them is to read a bunch of them. So yes, beat. Oh, good. It made sense. Yay. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Hugh Grant, quite a guy. Okay. You know what? We're gonna stop now, because we have accomplished a thing, and we've gone for an hour, and it's time to stop. So thank you guys all for being here. We have had, I think, a lot of fun. I love that you guys are talking to each other in the chat. That is really cool. For anyone who is watching this, and many of you will on recorded replay, check out the chat. They say some really cool stuff in there. Meanwhile, we finish the rough draft. Tomorrow, a whole new approach to these sessions, because I have to reread the damn thing and start to make notes on fixing it, because it is a mess. It is the roughest of messiest first drafts. This thing is going to change a lot, and that will come in the future. So until then, go write something.